Hi, I'm Yaswanth. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I will talk about how to create a best resume for both freshers as well as experienced. Resume is something that plays a very important role for you to get selected in any company. But the problem with many of the people is that we hardly spend time to create your resume. We just copy from others, or we just download from internet and do some changes. We just put some random stuff on resumes, and that is the reason why most of us are getting rejected in the initial stages of our job application. In this video, I will cover all those things, what are all the mistakes that you need to avoid, what are all the ways that you can create a best resume, and in the end I will also share with you a resume template which you can just use and edit your stuff there. So you can just customize that according to your details and you will get a good resume which will help you to pass any screening assignments. So for that you need to watch the video till the end, because I hope it would give you an idea of what actually a resume is, how to create your resume, what are the things that you need to avoid in the resume. Yeah, let's get started. So before talking about how to create a best resume, so there are some mistakes which one need to avoid in order to creating the resume. So I will share some of them. The first thing is career objective. So it is something that not every individual writes their own stuff. We all copy from others' resume, or we all copy from internet. It is the biggest blunder that most of us do. In general, you don't need to write one in your resume. You don't need a career objective, because not every interviewer will read all the stuff that you have written in your resume, and no one care about all these things. They hardly spend 1 minute to view your resume, that's it. So you don't need to mention all this stuff, and even they know like you copied from somewhere else. So try to avoid career objective if you don't know what to write, or if you don't have one, because it's still fine, because you know which role that you're applying, and even interviewers or recruiters know what role that you're applying for. So they don't need your career objective, they don't have anything to get from that. So avoid writing career objectives which are copied from internet or copied from your friends. This is the first blunder that you need to avoid. And the second thing that is quite common is writing irrelevant skills which are nowhere relevant to the job that you are applying for. It's like if you are applying for a software engineer role, so there is no need of writing some skills which are nowhere add any relevance to that position. Suppose like you are good at some skills like painting and other stuff, but there is no way that painting will add benefit to the role that you are applying for, right? So you are not going to paint in your software company. So it's something that you need to avoid. Adding irrelevant skills will only add negativity to your profile, because if interviewer get that in the first glance, then ultimately he will concentrate on that thing, and he will leave the all other relevant information. So that is something which will get you unnoticed. So that is the reason why adding irrelevant skills to your resume is of no use. So please avoid that. And the third mistake that most of the people do is lengthy resume. So it's not that you need to write your entire biography in your resume, because resume is not for that. The main purpose of resume is like if they want to get information about you. So you have applied for a particular job, they want to know who you are actually. So what are your skills? So that is resume is intended for, not that they need to write about your entire biography. So if you prepare your resume which is of 2 to 3 pages, then it makes interviewer or recruiter boring to watch entire resume, because there is of no need to write your entire biography in your resume, which interviewers only take a minute to read. So try to cut down all those unnecessary things, just make it a single page resume. So when interviewer got your resume, so feel it simplified, like you need to feel in such a way that the resume is very simple. So in a first glance itself, like recruiter need to get who you are and what are your capabilities. So that is how you need to create a resume. So always make it a single page resume. It doesn't matter whether you are a fresher or experienced. Maintaining a single page resume is always a good thing. So don't go for lengthy resumes, because no one will read that. And other stuff is like adding personal information which is not relevant. So it's okay to add your mobile number, email address, and like LinkedIn profile if possible. And if you're applying for a development roles, like it's okay to add a GitHub profile, because if they want to know whether you what are the details that you write in a resume, so if they want to prove the worthiness of that or prove the credibility of that, they might look into your LinkedIn profile or GitHub profile. That's fine. But the mistake with most of the people is like they will write entire details, like they will write the father name, mother's name, and they will also write what are all the they will also write the complete address, street number, house number. So What's the purpose of that? So I even saw some resumes in which they write about the occupation of their parents, occupation of their siblings. So what's the purpose of writing a resume? So you are completely diverted from what resume is for. So adding all such details like will make you will make interviewer irritated, will make the recruiter irritated. So there is a high possibility that they will reject your resume straight away. So avoid that. You don't need to write your bio and personal details in your resume, because there is nothing that they can do with those details. They only want to know how skilled you are, not all these stuff, unwanted stuff. To try to avoid them. And other mistake is like writing hobbies and strengths. So what can the interviewer do with your hobbies? In general, it is an old pattern, like people use it to write hobbies and strengths, because the reason why people started to write them is because in some interviews, in some HR interviews, mostly recruiters will ask you for your hobbies and strengths, because the main purpose is not to know about your strengths or hobbies. The main purpose is to know how effective you are communicating your thoughts to them. So that is the purpose of asking them. But slowly people started writing them, just because interviewers are asking hobbies and strengths, people starting writing them on their resume, and everyone knows that you copy them also. Hobbies, like most of it like reading or playing or watching. So what can they do with those things? So we are into a fast paced hiring environment, so people don't need all of them, even the strengths. So whatever you told, it doesn't matter if you are unable to communicate properly in front of a recruiter. Writing hobbies and strengths only lengthen your resume, and that doesn't add any value. So if your resume will last only for some portion of a single page, still it's fine, but don't complicate your resume by writing unnecessary stuff. And the other mistake that people do is like maintaining a common resume for all the roles. Like if you're applying for software engineer role, you need to know that what role you're applying for. Like if you are an experienced personality, so you are a Java developer, so prepare one for Java development. And you also know UI, so prepare one for that. And like if you're also interested in some other thing, like specifically for building APIs or building database related applications, so build one for that. So whatever the role that you are applying for, read the job description, read the responsibilities that you need to do in that role, and prepare resume accordingly. So prepare one common template, make modifications every time that you are applying for a new company. So don't just send one resume to all the roles, because it looks too generic. So what happens is like people will feel like unnecessarily you are adding more details which aren't of need to that particular role. So avoid doing that. For every job application that you are applying for, try to customize and do some modifications according to the job description. So this is something which is suggestible, and it is how you need to make sure that you're not including any of these mistakes before writing a resume. So these are the mistakes to avoid. Now I will tell you how to create a resume step by step. So writing a resume. So let's get into the main section of this video. The best resume will only contain 6 sections. So apart from the 6 sections that I'm going to tell now, there is of no need to add any other section. So the first section is header. So header is something which will contains your picture sometimes, but yeah, it is not a necessary thing to add your picture in your resume. Not all the roles need that, but for roles like some creative roles, you might need to add your picture, but that is still optional. People will consider you even without the picture. So the headline should be your name or the role that you are applying for. Again, that is not a big issue. You can write your name in most of the cases. It should get highlighted, because so if interviewer or recruiter is reading many resumes, how can they recognize you? How can they notice you? Only with the help of your name. So your name should always be the highlight in your resume. So that should be the bigger font that you use in your resume. So what are the things that you can add in the header section? Social links and contact. So contact in the sense like if interviewer or recruiter feels satisfied with your resume, so the immediate option is like they will contact you. So even though you provide your email in any other application forms, but having that in your resume, having your email and contact number is advisable, because if a recruiter get a doubt regarding something in your resume, then they might call you if you provide a number. So just below your name, write down your email ID as well as your mobile number. And the social links, it is not necessary that you need to put all your social links. So for general roles or for IT roles or for any other roles, you just have to provide your LinkedIn address, because it is something where they get the professional version of you. Always it's good to be on LinkedIn. So even you are a student or a professional, it's good to be on LinkedIn. So because that is one contact source for all the recruiters. So provide your LinkedIn ID. And if you're applying for IT or development related roles, development related roles, you also provide GitHub profile if you have it. Otherwise it's not an issue. And if you are applying for any creative roles, like suppose you are applying for designer roles, or if you are applying for some writing roles, you can also provide some other links. Like if you have an Instagram profile with good portfolio, you can provide that. Or if you have any other personal website which showcases your work, you can also provide that. But don't again complicate that. Just include 3 to 4. That's it. Your contact and your at least 2 social links. That's it. So that is the header section. And the other thing is professional summary. You can also write it as about me section. So professional summary is mostly for experienced candidates. So if you are an experienced candidate, just write a professional summary. And again, like there is no rule that you need to write 5 to 6 or more lengthy professional summary. Just 3 lines is enough. 3 lines of professional summary, what you are at and what you can provide. That's it. Professional summaries of 3 lines. Let's suppose you worked as a Java developer for 3 to 4 years. Just mention that. Just 3 lines is enough. And if you are a fresher, write about me. About me, like it should indicate what you are actually good at. So don't write entire biography again. In 3 lines, what you are actually. So just mention what you are. That's it. So this is the second section. So this is the second section. And the third section, it is very important section. So the work experience and projects. So this section should cover this. So if you're an experienced guy, so you worked for a company, right? So just mention the company and the duration that you worked for and the work that you have done actually. And if you have done any project, like if you worked in service based company, you might have worked for more than one project. So mention what are all the projects that you have worked for. It should not contain complete details. There is no need of adding complete details. So just mention in a high level view that what are all the things that you have done there, what are all the things that you know, what are all the things that you have contributed to. That's it. Don't make it a lengthy one again. Just they want to know like which project you worked on. Just the title of the project is enough, because they don't want to know about your complete project. So if they want, like they can ask you in the interview, but yeah, just title of the project and the work that you have contributed to. So this section, work experience and project, you can include these in a single section itself. So you can ask me what I can do as a fresher, because I don't have any experience. So still work experience is not like you work in a company. So if you are a student, you might have done some internships, or you might have done some projects in your, by your interest. At least you might have done 1 to 2 projects, right? So mention that information. So even if you don't have any work experience, you're applying for general role, you might have at least done some projects, right? If not, then that is difficult to enter into any company. So make sure you have at least 1 or 2 projects. If not, you can still do it and create your resume. Having at least 2 projects in the project section is very important, even if you are a fresher. So this is the third section and very important section. Then what about the fourth section? It is skills. So it is the section interviewer or recruiter will firstly look into in most of the cases, because they want to know, they want to validate whether you are the right person or not by looking at your skills. Because in experience section, it is difficult to find out the entire version of you, but in the skills section, they will know like whether you are a right candidate or not. Only mention skills which are relevant to the job and which you know. So most of the people do some mistakes like writing unwanted skills and faking their skills. Like just because that role demands few skills, don't write it if you don't know, because even you can tell them, even though in job descriptions they will write many skills, not all the recruiters look for them. At least having some will be enough. So don't fake your skill section and don't write unnecessary skills. Just mention what are the skills that you know and what the company need. That's it. You don't need to mention everything. You just have to mention that. This is very important. And the fifth section is education. Again, like it will not play a major role, but for most of the cases, like they at least should know like from which university you are coming from and what is your background. Just to know your educational background, you need to write one. You don't need to write again like SSC or like +2 details. You don't need to write that. You need to write your higher level of education. Mostly for experienced candidate, you don't need to write your entire education history there by giving a table and writing all those details, percentages, grades. No, just write your education institution name, what is the stream that you have studied, and what is your percentage if possible or grade. That would be great. Even for student, in some cases, in some MNCs, they will ask a standard percentage for all their education career. Then like just in 3 lines mention your higher graduation, +2 and 10th in 3 lines, just 3 lines. Name of the college, name of the course, that's it. You don't need to write every other stuff by putting a table, bigger table. You don't need to write that, because it is something that is local list, because they know like only if you satisfy the criteria you apply for it, right? Then they will know that. So if they said we only need people with 60% throughout their academics, then you will not apply for that role if your percentage is 55%, right? Ultimately you will get rejected if you apply for it. So you don't need to focus on education stuff, but yeah, writing that is important. And the last section is achievements or awards or recognitions. It is important because of course not everyone have achieved something during their career or during their study college life or during their work, but if you have one, please write, because it will create some positive impact. So if you have achieved any award or recognition, mention that. It might be on your college days, it might be during your previous employer. So if you have achieved something or if you're recognized for something, please do that. So because it adds some weight to your resume. So yeah, these are all the things that you need to remember in order to create a resume. So as I said, like, I'm giving away one resume template in the description. You can find the link in the description. So I have created a template with all the 6 that I have mentioned. So you just need to enter, edit your details, that's it. So your resume is done. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video and if you want someone else to know about this video, please share this in your network. Also, if you're a new visitor to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.